The wedding itself passed in a blur of stone arches and murmured vows. The Duke stood tall beside her, his face lined with years and experience, his expression unreadable. He did not touch her hand longer than required, and that restraint, somehow, hurt more than roughness might have. It made the truth undeniable. This was not a union born of want, but of necessity. When the final blessing was spoken, Alara was escorted through the vast corridors of his estate. The walls were lined with portraits, ancestors staring down with solemn eyes, women in gowns from centuries past, all of them appearing wiser and sadder than she felt. The servants moved with practiced quiet, as though sound itself had learned to bow in this house. She wondered which room had once belonged to the Duke's first wife and whether her spirit still lingered in these halls. Her chamber was grand but lonely. A fire crackled in the hearth, its warmth unable to chase away the chill inside her chest. She sat on the edge of the bed, smoothing her wedding gown with trembling fingers, thinking of the life she had left behind, the garden she used to tend, the laughter of friends who would now speak her name with pity. She had been taught to be dutiful, to accept her fate with grace, yet grief does not vanish simply because it is inconvenient. When the Duke finally entered, the door closed softly behind him. He removed his gloves and set them aside with care, as if every movement was deliberate. Alara rose at once, her pulse racing, bracing herself for whatever duty the night would demand. But he did not step closer. Instead, he studied her for a long moment, his gaze thoughtful rather than possessive. "You are afraid," he said quietly, not as an accusation but as an observation. Alara swallowed. "I am," she admitted, surprising herself with her honesty. There seemed little point in pretending courage she did not feel. The Duke nodded once, as though her answer confirmed something he already knew. "You were given much and asked for little in return," he said. "That is not justice." She did not know how to respond. No one had spoken of justice since her betrothal, only duty, honor, sacrifice. The Duke crossed the room then, but not toward the bed. He moved instead to the window and opened it slightly, letting in the cool night air and the distant scent of pine and rain. "I cannot give you back your dreams," he continued, his voice steady. "But I will not be the man who destroys what remains of them." From within his coat, he drew a small, leather-bound folder and placed it on the table between them, leaving space as if inviting her to decide when, or whether, to approach. Alara stared at it, confusion stirring beneath her sorrow. "What is it?" she asked. "A beginning," he replied. "One that belongs to you." Her heart thudded as she stepped forward, unaware that this quiet gesture, offered without demand, was already changing the story she believed had been written for her.